welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
We sure do.
So life's been a little crazy lately. A lot going on.
Tired.
Yeah, I'm tired too.
It's hot.
It is. We're having this weird heat
The calm
wave.
before the storm.
I know.
Literally.
Yeah, it is.
What they're calling an atmospheric river is what we're getting.
Yeah. And so we are recording this the day before it comes out.
Yeah, we're talking in real time pretty much right now.
So
this is yesterday for you.
Yeah, for you guys who listen on Tuesdays.
Oops.
But yeah, we'll kind of talk what happened. But no, it's been real weird weather. It got really cold and then really warm. And I'm currently working on a temperature blanket, crocheting that, which is you crochet a row for the high. I'm doing the high temperature of the day every day. And so since it's a leap year, there's going to be 366 rows. And so it's about an arm's span width, and then the length is going to be really tall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy because the colors just go all over the place. And
especially if we have a summer like last year where it was so cold and wet and rainy for all of June.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
but
weird.
it's just been weird weather. So it's really hot yesterday and today. I currently have my air on. And then it's it got really hot yesterday. And I was working on a laundry order, so I was sweating. I was I gotta close up the house. And
my laundry room gets so humid that I did if I'm washing towels, it's the only time that I'll use hot.
Yeah.
It looks like cats peed on something.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and so and then we had an earthquake last week, another one.
Yeah.
And they're calling them foreshocks because they were both 4.2 or something like that.
Yeah, instead of aftershocks, it's the before shocks.
Before shocks.
So, the thing is, living anywhere on the West Coast, really, but especially in California, for people that, we have listeners all over. We live directly on what's called a fault line, which is the big crack that rubs together during
earthquakes.
We live
on the San Andreas Fault
literally
line.
On it.
Yeah,
so there's been horror movies where we fall off into the ocean.
Yeah.
And so earthquakes are really we feel them even when they're little. We feel them. And so, our entire life, not me because I didn't grow up down here.
You grew up here.
But you grew up down here. It's the big one, the big one, the big one forever.
I was literally talking to the girls about this with earthquake drills. We used to have earthquake drills in school, kind of like fire drills.
I did too, even though we were never got
earthquakes every once in a while in Oregon, but not
when
really.
When I lived there, we had one that was even feelable, but I was asleep. I said that, I mentioned that last time, and I fell out of my bed.
Yeah,
it was pretty forceful, but I was only 3, so I don't actually remember. I just remember waking up under the bed.
Yeah,
and then maybe I did my fire drill in my sleep from preschool, but yeah. So after that, I seriously cannot even think of one that I felt, but they prepared us still.
Yeah, we had earthquake drills where we would have to go out, we'd have to go under our desk and then go outside. And then at the beginning of the school year, one of the back to school packets would detail your earthquake bag. And it was literally just a Ziploc bag with snacks, non-perishable snacks.
Okay.
So
in case you needed food.
Yeah, in case we had to shelter at the school or whatever. So we had some snacks. So it was always the little cheesy cracker, the crackers with the cheese in the middle.
Were you literally always supposed to have extra snacks on you?
No, it was in the classroom. So it was in a bin in the classroom. And so if a big earthquake happened and we had to stay in our classroom to stay safe, and kids get hungry.
Was it your own, or did everyone contribute?
Yeah, so we had a name on it. So everyone has a name on it. And it was always a juice box and just snacks. Yeah. That not like an apple that's going to go bad, but it was store-bought snacks. And and so it was a Ziploc with your name on it. And the teacher had the bin. And so if the big one happened at school and we had to stay in class and kids get hungry, here's your snack bag. But it was so fun because the last day of school, we got to take our snack bag home and eat it.
Yay!
And it was always the best snacks.
Yeah.
So
you're I was saving these in case of emergency.
Yeah. So this last one, I got on video again and Shannon was busting up laughing because she was like, "You're so unfazed."
You really were. Yeah. You were I watched you. You're pop.
Yeah, I was. No.
Turn your head and you're oh yeah, pop.
Yeah, I started to open a bottle of wine, so it was I had it on the counter, and then it was I had it turn halfway up, and then I froze, and then it was rumble, and then I was okay, and I finished opening it, and then I laughed because Lincoln ran out of his room, and he was I'm getting out of here.
Yes,
He's what the heck was that? And so I was laughing. I'm that's an earthquake.
It's just so weird because it's really funny how we're just like, you hold still and wait to see how bad it's going to get before you decide to run.
Yeah.
But the kids haven't figured that out yet because it's startling.
Mm-hmm.
And when we used to live at the apartment, it was because we literally, our apartment was right by a freeway overpass.
Oh, yeah.
and a freeway. So we lived right next to the overpass, and then below was the freeway. And so when earthquakes would happen, we were always like, is that a semi truck? Because sometimes a really big semi truck would come by and it would rumble the house or the windows. It wasn't that often, surprisingly. It was actually really calm and quiet there. But yeah, we're like, is it a semi? And you hold still and you wait. Like, how bad is it going to be? And it sucks because it could really happen. They are saying it could really happen.
I know.
And that kind of sucks.
I moved some things. I had my temperature, what's that called? The
barometer.
Yeah, barometer. And then, no, the barometer and then the temperature thingy with the floaties. What's that called?
Oh,
the temperature thing it's like a,
because I thought it measured barometric pressure.
That's
but it's a
temperature.
Thermometer.
It's a thermometer thingy.
Yeah, I don't know the fancy name. Yeah,
oh my gosh, my
Calvin.
I
thought he was looking at a bug or something, and then I was like, oh
nope, he's tearing down. That's why it was crooked the other day.
What a little turn.
Getting my macrame.
No, I don't know the name of that fancy.
Yeah, I moved him away from on top of the my china cabinet down like into the window.
I need to move Sheila. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put her. I think I'm just going to pick her up and I'm going to put her. That's my tarantula, in case anybody. Yeah. She's really, really, really up high because Binks, our cat, will get her anywhere. He's already knocked over.
Yes.
But it wasn't because it was her. He was trying to hop out of the kitchen window. And this time I had moved her to my tarantula was in the kitchen.
That one time he was trying to get up on the fridge because that's where you put the mouse.
Yeah.
For the snake.
Yes. And so he's also completely almost knocked it over because of trying to get in the window. So he wasn't trying
taped closed.
Yeah, I taped it shut just in case that happens so she can't get out. But like that could kill her. So they're so fragile. And so right now she's at the very top of a bookshelf.
What if you do that museum gel?
Well, I have thought about it, but at the same time, if it's really bad, the whole thing might fall over. I don't anchor my bookshelves because I don't have babies.
Yeah,
so like I never do.
Yeah, I anchor everything because I have kids that climb things.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm probably just going to pick her up and move her into the craft room, into the craft closet on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
For right now.
Yeah, because
she could honestly just live in there.
Yeah.
She doesn't need, but I need to move her out of the way because, she's too up high. I think probably where she'll end up going is in one of the little cubbies in the craft room, but I have to empty one out pretty much just for her.
Yeah. I started cleaning and organizing stuff, and so that was like I had clear space to move some stuff that I'm afraid is going to fall. Like I don't have animals that I'm afraid are. Well, Phyllis, I don't know.
She'll just slosh around is what I know.
And that was another thing in the video because she's in our kitchen, my turtle, and she was on the basking dock, and then the earthquake happened, and she like swam down all freaked out. She's like, "What was that?"
Poor thing. Well, the thing is her being in the water that absorbs all the force. Yeah. And so you'll probably, if there is a really big earthquake, more than likely what will end up happening is it'll just slosh everywhere. Yeah. I don't think, because she's so heavy, I don't think it would fall off the stand. I don't think so.
Sorry if you hear my children in the background. It's been a day. It's been a day. I struggled. So the reason being we're recording late is I am also, well, like you before, I am adjusting to medication. Some new medication. So it kind of hit me hard after about 2 weeks in. And so I was not feeling good on Friday at all. And then I ate that stew and I thought I was going to get sick. And so I think it was just the perfect storm on Friday. And I was like, I can't. And then Saturday was Avery's birthday. She turned 12. And so the girls, she did a skating rink birthday party. And so they went roller skating and she requested sushi. So I had to make sushi, and not just any sushi. She wanted tempura fried shrimp and sushi. So I had to fry, I think I fried 4 pounds of shrimp because there was a lot of people, and then the girls, man, they ate till they were like stuffed. Laura couldn't eat anymore and Jack ate the rest of hers and we were stuffed. But yeah, and then I was a little off today, so we're doing
I'm like, it's so funny. I was like, I texted you earlier and I was like, I'm okay. I'm just bitchy.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little moody today.
It's a little moody.
It's weird. And it's hot and I think it's not helping.
Yeah.
Like
hot and uncomfortable.
A general transition of heat is one thing, but like
immediately from like super cold.
Yeah, and it was chilly and overcast in the
rainy
60s. And then we got a decent break, and then now it's like 76 right now.
Yeah. I think our high is supposed to be 78 today.
And so it's supposed to be hotter tomorrow. Oh. But then it's going to rain for 9 days.
Yeah, then it's going to rain on Thursday.
And then that's not even exciting either because that's too much.
I know. Then my chicken coop gets muddy. I know. And then the rabbits are covered, but we have to go and pop the water off of the cover because it gets weighed down and it's falling apart.
It sucks. Like the wind that we've been getting, which is like, I mean, it's normally windy here, but it's been like freakishly windy.
Yeah.
Keeps ripping the grommets out of the tarps covering the chickens and popping the zip ties.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying.
I know. It sucks when you have animals outside like chickens, and then I have rabbits, and then I lost a rabbit today. He died and don't know why.
He was the white one, right?
Yes. And he was my last Holland lop that I had. And so I don't know, it could have been this rapid transition to the heat, but then when I went out there I did notice Miss Frizzle was like underneath the rabbit cages, and then she like came out and I'm like, what is she doing?
Is she hiding eggs?
Oh no. I hope not. That would be gross.
She probably is.
But anyway. Yeah, but I did notice 2 brown recluse spiders over there, so I told Jack he needs to kill those today. They were like on the legs of the rabbit hutch. Oh. So I'm like, oh no, but yeah, so anyways, rambling about
their fur is so thick, it would seem strange that a rabbit could even get bit by, I mean, obviously, of course they could, but yeah, I guess so. Or like on their face.
Yeah. I have no idea, but yeah, so we're dealing with a lot.
Spiders were insane because of our insane weather last year. I think we talked about this before too. Like our garage was like infested with brown widows. The side of the house was infested by black widows. I've never seen so many like house spiders. It's just crazy. And so I'm happy because the chickens are free ranging a ton. But I'm like, oh my God, they're eating all, they eat all the nasty bugs and stuff. And so it really helps keep it down for the spring season, because for us, that is literally like we start planting the first week of February.
Yeah. Which, I need to do that too.
And I'm like,
I'm so behind.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to get that super ugly construction fencing. Oh my God, he's so cute. The little plastic, like, holy. It has the holes, can trellis. My dad always got it and trellised cucumbers on it when I was a kid, but they make it in like green now. And they have those bamboo poles. I'm just going to make like a bamboo pole fence with that ugly crap around my flower bed.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Just to establish my wildflowers. I always do them right there. That's my plan, is that one's always going to be. But I'm like, I'm going to end up having to do that on the other side too for, I don't know, that's the chicken poop corner. I think I pretty much just made that like the chicken
We're in
poop.
Spring mode. Well, not really.
I'm getting there because I'm thinking about like my, oh my gosh.
I don't know.
ASMR.
Like,
you can totally
ASMR,
hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelvin. I just snorted. He's on.
This is Calvin. He made a photo appearance in the friendship bracelet post.
Which I found mine, everybody, by the way. I'm not a total piece of shit.
I was going to ask you about that.
It was funny. It was on my entertainment center by my candles. So I think what happened was I had come home from Christmas with it on my wrist. Went to go light the candle and it started falling off because I can't tie it by myself.
Okay, we'll tie them today. Now that
I'm like, did I leave it there though? Now I'm like, where did I put it?
I'm like, I moved mine into my jewelry drawer.
I don't know. The cats are gonna eat it if I don't move it. I don't know.
Okay, well, after 14 minutes of rambling, we might as well get to the whole point of the show. Is Calvin, don't. Sorry, it's chaotic today. Is the craft, and that is me.
Yay!
So I am taking it back to food. And I am actually, this would be more appropriate, I guess, for you to do, but I'm doing masa because I think you can say more of these words than I can in the proper way. I do not have any Mexican nationality or anything in me. But my husband and obviously you do. So masa is, as we know, dough in Spanish, and it's made from corn that has been nixtamalized.
I don't know that, but I'm guessing powdered.
Yeah, so it's a process, that actually involves cooking and soaking the kernels in an alkaline solution. It's usually like lime or ash.
Yep.
And so
food grade lime is
lime.
Weird. Well,
lime,
it's sorry, what is that? There's you soak food grade lye in green olives.
Oh,
it's weird. The fact that there's a lye that is food grade. Sorry, detracting, but that's so strange to me. Yeah, that.
Yeah. So it's it's lime or ash, and so it softens the corn to make it easier to like grind up, but it actually enhances nutritional value, flavor, and aroma. So there's a reason for it too.
That's cool.
So it was developed by the indigenous peoples of Mesoamerica, who they discovered that this method like unlocked amino acids and niacin in the corn.
Oh, yum.
And this prevented diseases like pellagra. I hope I'm saying that right. And that is just a disease like from the lack of niacin, which is B3.
So like instead of like scurvy from what vitamin C and rickets is from calcium, I think or
so.
Vitamin D and calcium.
Yeah.
So that one is from, say that again, just niacin?
Niacin. So it's called pellagra, Pellagra.
Interesting.
And
I've never heard
it's a disease from lack of niacin. Gotcha. So, that's why I take a B complex vitamin because, a lot of people can be.
I do too.
Yeah.
A huge
B12,
one.
B3.
And then your P is like neon yellow.
Yellow. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So, the earliest evidence of nixtamalization, that process, well, I'll just start saying this process, dates back to around 1500 BC to 1200 BC in Guatemala. And archaeologists actually found traces of lime and cornstarch on pottery.
Oh, fun.
From this time period.
Yeah.
So from there, the technique spread through the region, and it became a staple food of the Maya, Aztec, and other civilizations that relied on corn as the main source for their calories. Yeah. So masa, you can make a bunch of stuff. I think of it like, in tamales, like when we made it. But you could also make tortillas. What is this? ATOLE? Atoll? I don't know. It was in the list of foods that you can make with masa.
Well, you got to remember, like, we didn't really eat that much. Even grandma didn't cook a ton of Hispanic food growing up. So,
but you can make more than just tamales. So that's the point.
Champurrado is a Mexican drink with corn in it. With masa powder. Yeah. It's chocolate. Oh. It's a breakfast. It's a breakfast drink. It's thick, but not like you would think because it's
not like
that's powder.
I'm just picturing like cream of wheat,
thinner, but yes,
like liquidy cream of wheat,
but not chunky because it's like a powder. Your masa's a powder, so it's a breakfast drink because it's a thick, rich drink. Weird. Yep, and it's chocolate, and I think it has a little vanilla and cinnamon. We'll have it. It's a Christmas. I'll make it at Christmas.
Okay.
That's a while from now.
I will try it.
Your thick chocolate breakfast corn.
Okay. Don't say that when you give it to me.
Chocolate breakfast corn.
No, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
So we think of masa as food, but it is food, but it's not just food. It's a symbol for a lot of cultures of their identity, resistance, and creativity. And for the indigenous people of Mesoamerica, masa was actually a sacred substance.
Nice.
Considered a gift from the gods that represented life and sustenance. So, you think they survive on corn, and so this is a way to like adapt the corn so you're not just eating just corn. So the Aztecs used masa as a form of tribute, payment, and currency, and also as a medium for writing and art, which I was like, just hard masa? Like you just dry it out, I guess?
You could probably totally use it.
Or like carve into it.
We use cornstarch for glue. I'm sure you could do like a clay of some kind. Maybe like, when we do salt dough, like as a kid. Yes.
It's probably the same thing.
Oh my God. I made this little salt dough teddy bear and then I would like lick it. I was like, what?
I did too. Like the salt dough.
Because of you
the salty dough. Yeah.
You're not thinking how gross that is.
It's just salt.
We're putting all our bacteria from our mouth on our Play-Doh.
On our Christmas ornaments on the tree, the little salt ornament.
Like a horse. We're like horses.
Get a salt lick. Oh man, we are off today. But yeah, so I'm picturing it like hardened or something. So maybe they like as it was soft wrote into. I didn't really look into that very much, but yeah. So Masa is also a tool for survival and adaptation as the indigenous peoples like resisted colonization, and when the Spanish came in and they tried, the Spanish comes in and like, here's this food you should eat and stuff. But they were like, this is our food. This is our identity. It's part of our culture. And so they use that to like push back, resist the colonization from the Spanish. And so for a lot, Masa is a way of preserving their cultural identity. Like I said, it's just and as time goes on, they obviously experiment with ingredients and techniques. But so anyways, today we, still eat masa. I know we do every year because we always eat tamales and throughout the year. Jack's dad will go to, I don't know what place it is, but
it's a female's name, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks. I can never remember the name either.
And he'll go and get like bags of tamales. They're so good. And we'll have that for lunch.
Yummy.
So, anyways, it's still a vital part in Latin American cuisine and culture. It's gone past borders and influenced other cuisines around the world. So it's also the base of dishes in Central and South America. And it's traveled to other parts of the world, such as the U.S., where it inspired new dishes such as Tex-Mex, Southwestern, and Californian. So it's in all of these cuisines. So it's also a source of income for small-scale farmers, millers, and tortilla makers who they still do the traditional method and use the varieties of corn that they would back then. Like, so it's not just your basic corn that you're thinking of.
It's not like crazy GMO corn.
No,
it's like an heirloom from South America that grew there indigenously.
And
that's
so
cool.
There's a lot of people that it's just part of their culture, and so they keep it the way it's supposed to be.
It never occurred to me that during colonization they'd be like, you can't eat that garbage, but it would make sense.
It's because like, why are you eating that? You need
because
to
they
eat
want
this.
to change them from who they are to what they want them to be. Which
so,
I'm like, the Spanish people eat the same food.
I know,
just not corn tortillas, but like it's all very
not a lot
similar
of masa,
flavors and fish. And
so I think maybe it was the technique that was used, but so it is a very cultural food. But now to the crafty part, I will teach you how to make it.
Yay!
The old school way.
Yay!
So it requires a lot of time and patience. Since you need to like soak the corn and then get it into a dough form. And so anyways, you're going to need to have like a grinder, which I have like a mortar and pestle, but not that kind of grinder. Like you need a big scale grinder or you could just use a food processor because you need to grind it down into like fine powder. Because I have a bag of that masa powder stuff that
sorry, I mean, nobody can see, but I'm looking at Amy and for some reason I was like rubbing my chin.
I'm telling you, we are off.
And I was just looking at you with my mouth open. I'm like, what are you doing? Happening?
I thought you were signaling me for something. I'm like, I heard my door.
I'm just dumb. I'm just sitting here like, all slack-jawed.
Okay. You're just ready for some tamales.
Seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the ingredients you need. You need 2 cups. So this is like if you're getting specific, I found a recipe.
Okay.
So you need 2 cups of dried yellow dent corn. And you can find this at Latin markets or like online. 1 tablespoon of pickling lime and 8 cups of water.
Nice.
2 teaspoons of olive oil if you're using a food processor.
Okay.
And a teaspoon of salt. So first you need to rinse the corn in cold water, remove like any stones just like you do with beans or whatever. Then you need to make the alkaline solution that will do that process with the corn, the word I can't say.
Nixtamalization.
Nixtamalization.
Yeah, nixtamalization. That sounds right.
So this, as we said, it softens the corn kernels and
it like puffs it up.
And it adds nutrition, as we know.
That's so crazy.
It is really weird.
Maybe it's because it preserves it, I'm guessing. So it preserves it enough to keep the cellular structure when you break it apart and cook it, I'm guessing.
Maybe. Because I'm like, I don't see how that would add more vitamins.
Right? It seems like it would bleach it out or something. Like, caustically change it and ruin it.
But it just adds nutritional value to it.
That's cool.
So to make this solution, you bring your 8 cups of water to a boil. in a non-reactive pot. So not you need something like a stainless steel pot.
Okay.
You stir in the pickling
It's
lime.
like making hair dye.
Yeah. So you add in the pickling lime until it's dissolved, and then you add the corn and then bring that to a boil and then lower the heat.
Okay.
So you want it to be at a gentle simmer, cook for about 30 minutes until the outer layer of the corn is slightly cooked, but the inner core is still dry. Then you turn off the heat and let the corn sit in that liquid covered at room temperature for 12 hours.
Okay.
This is when it'll
So
like
do it at
all
night
absorb.
and get ready for the morning.
Yes. So literally the next day you
Yeah.
can drain all the corn and you toss out the liquid. You don't need that anymore. Then you rinse the corn under water and you rub the kernels between your fingers and like to remove the slimy outer side out. It creates like a slimy outer coating.
Okay.
So you're just getting that off. Just so it's not slippery and nasty, gooey. And then you're ready to grind it into dough.
Okay.
And so you can use a traditional stone grinding tool or a metal mill, but we don't have that in our kitchen, so you just would use a food processor. Yeah. So this just means you need to cook and soak the corn a bit longer. So if you're using the food processor, everything you're going to need to like add an extra 15 minutes to the boiling and all of that. So you just need to add more time. And then you need to add olive oil to the corn to help it form a smooth dough in the food processor. So you add it in, grind it up, and you can work in batches because that's a lot of corn. And then it'll form a thick paste. And then you transfer this ground corn to a large bowl and then add in salt and knead the dough with your hands until it's small and uniform. That is it. And so it should be moist but not sticky. So like not where it's like all coated onto your hands. But then I think of like, we get masa straight from the store.
From a Hispanic
market. Yes. And so we know the consistency.
Right. But it does already have lard added to it. But not a lot.
And we added more lard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was really dry.
Lard instead of oil.
They definitely, the way that they make it in a grocery store when you buy it is...
Have you seen them in the big mixers?
Yes.
They're huge.
Yeah. And so it's like it's pretty much like we give it like a super basic lard and salt and then we adjust it.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting...
because really I think instead of oil, they just add lard as that fat.
Yeah, for sure.
The oily part.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, so they are not adding olive oil.
They probably
or anything.
made the lard in.
You can buy it in a bucket.
Yeah,
I've looked because I was like, oh, I want to buy it in a bucket to fry my chicken and stuff in.
Heck yeah. Side note, it doesn't go rancid.
No, it does not.
It's so interesting. It always stays soft.
Yeah.
So I do know the traditional. If you don't, so like it's a huge mortar and pestle, and it's called a molcajete.
Yeah, see, that's the word I couldn't say, so I didn't say
so
it.
Basically, if people know what the mortar and pestle is, just make it way bigger, but it's made out of a solid piece of lava rock, and they're really expensive because I want one, and they're really expensive.
Yeah.
And my mom told me the way that you clean it out when you're done.
Is it salt?
It's salt or rice.
Oh, rice.
So when you're going to clean it out,
that's
I think
right.
you can use the salt too, like cast iron.
Rice,
but it's got to get. It's
we've
like
done that.
Yeah. So you grind the rice in. I'm sure you could probably do like rice flour, but the point is to like I'm telling you, but I'm like
a texture
it's to scrub
is
it
to scrub
out
it,
to scrub out some of the old flavors. But
I was just thinking salt because that's how you clean
it would
cast
make
iron.
sense. I mean, I'm sure it would. I'm sure they went through all of it. I think just it's like that's what my mom probably is what my family did. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
and they're really cute and I like them. And like if you go, oh my god, okay, so if you go to a Mexican restaurant, you see a teeny tiny little plastic bowl that has 3 legs on it and looks like an udder.
Yep,
that's a baby molcajete. It's just a plastic one, but they make them tiny, like a little,
like a mortar and pestle.
Yeah, exactly. But like it's traditional for them to be like pretty big, and because it's a solid piece of lava rock that makes it so porous and grindy. They're like $56 for a small one.
Yeah, I know.
Like
but
that's a small one.
I was looking at like the big tamale pots. They have them.
We just need to go to Cardenas.
Yeah.
And buy a 3-foot long chicharrone that still has hair on it. I know Kurt hates that part. I do occasionally, but the ones I really like are the ones that Randy brought them over for the guys, and then we just keep buying them. But they're so expensive. It's like $18 a pound. Jeez. And they're like the full cracklin that has like a half inch. Whoa, my stomach made a weird sound. It's like a half inch of back fat.
Yeah.
It's like gonna eat this? I don't know. It's like meat. There's still meat on it.
There's still meat on it.
And it's so greasy and amazing, and I love it. But they're expensive.
So
and my gut hates it.
Yeah.
Yay, corn!
Corn.
Sorry, we just
Masa,
went on a hilarious Mexican food journey.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know why I was thinking about masa. It like popped in my head.
Probably because we didn't make tamales this year
I
like
know.
we were supposed to.
I still have tamales in my freezer from last year, but I think they're all the dessert ones. So we don't need to make those next year or this year. I'm like, oh my gosh, Calvin, no.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Let's do Easter tamales.
Easter tamales, yeah. Calvin's being annoying.
My goodness gracious.
Okay, so you ready to bring us on down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm ready. So this one, it's funny because when I was talking about my last crime case was dirty body brokers, and I was like, there could totally be a part 2 to this, and I was kind of mentioning like I could totally do another part 2, but this time what I did instead is it's still dirty body brokers part 2.
Okay.
But these are dirty. They're called addiction advocates.
Oh, okay.
This is unfortunately all of these that I'm covering is from down here like in California because we don't ever get political on here. This is just like what the fact is that when President Obama signed in the Affordable Care Act in March of 2010, it was, for people that don't live in the United States, it was a huge 13,000 page document. Then it's how they tried to reform our healthcare, and that's its own whole thing. But one of the provisions, I suppose, in that was that our health insurance has to pay for recovery and inpatient, outpatient, detox. It has to pay for it because, especially here in the state of California, because the reality is, even if they have to send them through treatment 5 times, if they can get clean, then they are less of not a burden, that's a terrible word. It's less that insurance is going to have to keep paying out to keep continuously taking care of them. So they do this, and it has relieved a lot of burden on families, which is great. But what has come out of it is this disgusting practice, and it's as if, dead bodies are bad enough, but these are living people. Yeah. These are alive, sick people that need help, and their families. Technically, their families are not being taken advantage of because their insurance is paying for it. Yeah. But we're being taken advantage of as the people that pay for it because... and
insurance payers and
exactly.
All of it.
It's just unbelievable. So these addiction advocates are people that will go and help find recovery companies patients to be put through detox, to get them help, to get them treatment, and they end up getting a kickback about $500 to $1,000 for every person that they bring in, aka this body brokering. One of the issues, just like the body donations in my last body brokering, was the regulations didn't change. The law changed, but regulations did not. So what families didn't know is that all of these new treatment centers popped up overnight. We're talking 2011. There was a boom of them, especially here in California. And so families would get these beautiful like brochures, it looked like, and it's crazy because I've also never seen so many residential treatment facility commercials.
Oh really?
I see them on YouTube.
I've seen a lot too.
Yeah,
so that makes sense now.
So these beautiful facilities are showing up and they're amazing, but the problem is many of these staff centers end up being full of staff members that are completely addicted to drugs themselves.
Oh, yeah.
There's lying, HIPAA violations, misconduct, and actually zero treatment of these patients.
Yeah, I bet.
Because
nobody knows what they're doing.
And there are so many treatment programs that can be made from insurance. So what people think, they think of rehab. They don't. From mental health care facilities to drug addiction, these places are so much more than that. First, there's detox. Then there's inpatient. There's intensive outpatient, which would be therapy like every day. And then after that, there's recovery support. And then it moves on to halfway houses and sober living. Those are all paid for through your insurance. There are so many avenues that this keeps happening. And just like the body part brokering, you and I could rent this house out as a sober living, zero experience, zero nursing.
2 houses down from you.
Yep. From my grandma's house, one of my friends that lived across the street from her, when I would come here and visit, that house turned into a sober living facility. And it seemed pretty nice. It actually did. Most of the people seemed
this
like
one
okay.
We had issues with because it was a halfway house.
For rent now always?
I think so, yeah. They had too many problems, and it was like a halfway house, but they didn't like enforce anything. And
this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. And
the owners of these places are literally people like me and you, and they're getting paid so much money. And they're
just to provide a roof over their heads,
and they
basically.
don't enforce them to go to probation meetings like they're supposed to go to therapy like
or
they're
to stay
supposed
sober.
to. Exactly.
Because that was the problem is
really
we had
sad.
one guy we called the wheelchair guy because he would just like roll around in his wheelchair with a big giant brown bag talking to himself in the street. In the street, and he would just
and then he went back to his halfway house,
and then just like rolled himself down back home.
It's really, really sad and unfortunate. And you don't have to have any kind of business experience. You don't have to have any kind of medical training.
That's crazy.
There's nothing for the licensing to do this. There's no half of these. Some of these, like I can't even get into how many there are. That's the sad part. And then a lot of these like interviews I was reading, they're like undercover workers and things like that. But what ends up happening is that a lot of these centers are run by ex-addicts that just get out of prison and start a facility up to make money. They're not helping anybody, and they're not helping themselves. And it's really, really sad because it was so easy for them to scam the system.
That makes sense, because it's almost like you created, like this situation was created where there weren't enough regulations or rules put in place so that people could take advantage of it as super easy. And I guarantee you that's what the case was.
Sure.
And then it probably got shut down, or they were like, had too many issues.
Yeah. The state of California, it's a great place, and it's also so lenient sometimes that they want to help so much. And then this did for a lot of people. And then this is what happens. If there's a loophole that people can exploit, they will.
Yeah. Especially if there's money to be made.
Exactly. So
there's a incentive.
Gross.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So we are starting with a case. Unfortunately, these are all here. They're all in California.
Oh, of course.
We're starting with Dr. Rosen. His name is Randy Rosen. And his wife... they owned a $3.3 million home in Beverly Hills, and he owned a surgical center called Wellness Wave. And his wife owned a toxicology lab called Lotus Laboratories. Obviously, they were very successful. And what ended up happening is... sorry, it's crazy to me. These are never investigated by... police. It always starts with people like you and me. It starts with a parent.
It's probably with a family member or something.
It's crazy. So they ended up digging up. This man made $52 million in profits from billing $670 million to insurance companies.
What?
You know, doctors profit. This is a normal practice, but this is not what everyone is doing. So what he had, we will get into like the details of the people that said this, but this is how I'm like, it was crazy. So he would have these body brokers go and find addicts literally anywhere. They would hit up Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and hide in the back. They would hit up Narcotics Anonymous meetings and hide in the back. And most of them were current drug addicts as well. So they were like, oh, I'm here. Hey, do you want to go to this doctor? Because one of the things that started with the Affordable Care Act was that if everyone who had a drug and alcohol problem could be immediately approved for a drug called naltrexone. And you can get it as a little plastic implant. It's an intramuscular implant. And at the time of when these articles when this went on, which I'm like, oh my God, how many times did I write shit down and not put the date for crap? I'm like, it literally just happened. So it was not FDA approved at this time. When it was first happening. So he also had to he had to tell his patients, like, hey, this is not FDA approved yet. So they had to have consent given that they were like, hey, guess what? We're going to give you this drug and we're going to give you $500 for doing it. It was an incentive plan. This was actually something being done here.
That's crazy.
So that addicts could try to get to recovery. So he ended up, he would give these naltrexone implants, and there was a naltrexone shot for like immediate the implant was immediate. The shot would last for like this long amount of time. And it was used to treat opiate use disorder and alcohol use disorder. I actually knew someone who used it. And if you actively drank or used it, you would get really sick. You would feel pretty sick. But what you would not get to happen was it works by blocking your opioid receptors. So that in turn turns down all the euphoric sensations, which is the point of why people do drugs. But it was not meant to be used for those in active addiction. It was meant for recovery. To keep you on the path because you didn't have the desire. Because if you did
that makes
if you
sense.
slipped and had a drink or did your drug of choice, you wouldn't feel anything. You'd be less likely to continue to use it. But he was not doing that. He was knowingly giving these naltrexone implants and shots to active addicts. And so what he would end up doing was because these addicts would stay addicts, and he knew that because of the simple fact that this drug would dull that effect. So they would do more and more and more drugs. So it was easy to keep these types of people in rehab. This is like a ring. This is like a ring of garbage humans. So
I was just thinking, wouldn't they just get sick all the time?
Or they OD and die. So what ends up happening is these naltrexone tabs cost only $25 to $60. And then the injections cost about $700 to $1,100. That's expensive.
So is that what he was billing insurance for? Is all the injections?
He charged $18,000 to insurance for one single injection. And then
how was that getting approved?
Because I don't even know. And I think it's because of the fact that like it's hard to explain, but these things are the way that medications are charged. It's not even regulated the same way. They're like, it's the cost of living. It's what this person is charging because we live here. So, then he would basically just convince these sick people to multiple kinds of treatments that they needed, that he would say that they needed, like a $10,000 MRI.
Oh my gosh.
Like being put under full anesthesia to get a little implant put in, which that would hurt. It's a local anesthetic, a little slit, and they jam a needle and it shoots in a little bigger than a grain of rice is this little implant device. It's gonna hurt. But it's the same kind. Nexplanon women get for,
I was just thinking like
for
birth control.
It's the same thing. Testosterone implants, chemotherapy, the seeds, they're all like basically the same size. So it's painful, but you don't need to be completely sedated. But the amount of money that he would make for this. Then he would charge insurance for toxicology blood screenings and urinalysis that would be sent to his wife
Yeah.
Liza. And so he did 70 injections and those implants a day. So remember, we're talking $18,000 for an injection 70 times a day.
What? I'm just thinking how many that is an hour.
It's unbelievable.
If you work an 8-hour workday.
It ends up being over $1 million nearly a day that he's charging between the implants and the shots that he can do. And the MRIs and the urinalysis and this insanity. So they would pay the drug addicts in cash, knowing they're going to leave and probably go take more drugs and end up in a treatment facility. So one patient, her name was Carrie Solenberger. Okay. She had an implant put in her back. I find this super, super weird. Yeah. And I'm guessing it's probably Dr. Rosen's decision, because then she was instructed by her addiction advocate, whisper, hey, complain about back pain.
Oh my gosh.
Because then Dr. Rosen can give you a shot and pain medication, and the cortisone shot will help the back pain. And he billed the insurance $87,000 for a cortisone shot in her back.
What?
Yep.
That is insane.
So in 2018, that's why I didn't write, because this is the problem having ADHD. All this in my brain, I lined it up the way I like. This sounds good.
I did that too.
So he had been doing this for 5 years. So he started in about 2013.
Okay.
In 2018, Brennan Berry, age 22, died from an overdose while implanted with Dr. Rosen's naltrexone. His mother was so happy and excited that her son wanted to get treatment, and that it really seemed like he was going to stick to it. And so she had no problem. Their insurance was going to cover all of it. So, at this point, when she's looking through these papers, he had billed Brennan's insurance nearly $60,000, and he ended up getting $1,000 in cash from one of his appointments.
Okay.
Because he got his naltrexone implant and went out the same exact day afterwards.
Okay.
And overdosed and died.
Oh, so it all happened back to back.
Back to back. And so his mother wants Dr. Rosen to be charged with manslaughter because he knew better. Yeah. And I mean, I do definitely understand that. So his mother, again, went to CBS News. This isn't the FBI. This isn't a private. It's the news. It's
unfortunately, because
they're the ones that care the most.
Yeah.
And have time. I don't know. It's bullshit.
Well, they investigate.
Yeah, because they have a lot more money behind them than the police care to do.
Yeah.
So, investigations were done by CBS after Brennan's death, and his mother was like, something's going on, and she said she would have never sent him to Dr. Rosen had she known that he was going to give him cash, because who gives a drug addict $1,000 in cash and doesn't think they're going to spend it on drugs? Yeah. So, of course, everybody flips. Nobody wants to go to jail. So his body broker, who just goes by Schaefer, flipped on him during these investigations, and he gave up all of all of these details. So this was so much. This man knew exactly what he's doing, and it's so crazy because, of course, he's super successful, and it's like, dude, you're obviously smart. Like, why? It's so disgusting. No. So because
money.
Seriously.
Because of money.
Yeah. It's like stressing
not the
me
people.
out.
It's not helping.
Nope, it never is. No. So this Schaefer said that Rosen had a fake marketing company. And the marketing company was where the cash overage went to and came out of. How they were paying off the patients in cash came from marketing. And the marketing employees were the body brokers. Okay. And so they had essentially a body brokering pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Because he would pay these body brokers, and their marketing company would then pay other addicts to bring in their friends and, you know, people at their homeless camp. It's just taking advantage of everybody because they're the most vulnerable.
Tell any drug addict, hey, if you go to this doctor, he'll give you $1,000 or $500. Any drug addict's going to do that.
Yeah. And it's sad because they're just being taken advantage of at their most ridiculous, sad, in the most ridiculous circumstances in treatment. And it's so sad. So it took 2 years, and in July of 2020 he pled not guilty to his 88 felony fraud charges, but he got denied bail because he was a millionaire and he was a flight risk. But lucky for him, he ended up getting COVID really bad. And so instead of having to be put in jail with the general population because there was a huge COVID outbreak here in the prisons in California, he got house arrest in his giant mansion, bought with stolen money and dead drug addicts. It's heartbreaking and bullshit. So he had his ankle monitor on, and he got to stay in his huge mansion. Boo-hoo, what a punishment.
Ridiculous.
And in August 12th, he did end up pleading guilty, and was sentenced to 10 years. And his girlfriend, Liza Vismanos, it was his girlfriend, not his wife. Pled guilty and ended up having most of her charges dropped, and she only ended up with 1 year's house arrest in that mansion.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm guessing it's probably because
he was the one probably doing it, just sending work her way.
Sure, yeah, exactly, for her company. So I don't think there was enough of a
involvement on her behalf.
And the thing is, if they were married, she wouldn't have been charged at all, because in the state of California, you can't testify against your spouse.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
It is.
So, yeah, it's so gross. So here's another one. This one has a little bit more, some more details specifically from a recovered addict. And
okay.
So in 2000, sorry. My stomach's been doing weird stuff. I just had a weird hiccup burp. In December 2014, in Delray Beach, Florida, that almost caught me up. The FBI raids a home of Eric Snyder.
Okay.
He's 30 years old, and he's the owner and operator of 2 separate treatment facilities. One of them is called Real Life Recovery, and then he has a sober living home called Halfway There.
Okay.
What a cute name.
I know.
That's sad. And so it's hilarious because I've actually lived in a halfway house before because my mom's best friend she was a manager of one, and it was a really nice place. Everybody was really nice. Everybody was clean. It was actually really fun because it wasn't a shithole. You know, it wasn't a scam. It wasn't this gross.
It was legitimate.
It was a legitimate. Yeah, it was a really nice place. It's funny. What an experience. So he ended up profiting $18 million in about 5 years as well, from nearly $59 million in fraudulent insurance billings. Wow. Now, all of this information came from a patient named Dylan Katz. And his first experience, he said, when he got to Halfway There, he was met by a man that the manager of this house had no shirt on, was profusely sweating, which is drugs.
Yeah.
And he went under the house, dragged out a dirty, filthy mattress, gave it to Dylan, and said, "Here you go. This is your bed. Go find a spot on the floor."
No way.
So his mother, she lived in Boynton Beach, Florida, same state. His mom was really, really... She was not concerned because she didn't have to pay for anything, but she did not understand why she had so many explanation of benefits papers that were coming. I'm not sure if this is a thing outside of the United States, but that's just our breakdown. It's an insurance receipt. They're letting you know it's a proof of what your insurance paid for, so you can have it visually, and you keep it in case you have to claim things or dispute things. So. Anyway, so I get them constantly. It's unbelievable. You'll get them for everything. Prescription, everything.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. And it's annoying. It's a waste of paper.
It is. I think...
Like, email it to me.
I have mine set up for
really?
paperless, yeah.
I think if I do, I'll forget about it. That's probably why I don't do it.
Yeah.
So she was looking through her explanation of benefits papers, and she noticed that her son, was given 5-year analysis tests that ended up costing $9,500.
Oh my gosh.
So she's like, wow, I understand why these places, like, places have to make money, but she's like, I can see why these people are doing this. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Because medical crap in the United States is so expensive. That's how it flies under the radar.
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I had to have a bunch of MRIs done, and I remember seeing the bills, and they were thousands back then.
Yeah.
And we had double insurance. We had 2 government insurance. Both my parents worked for the state. My dad's retired from the Army, so we had Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was good back then. And then the state insurance, and I remember it being so expensive.
Yeah,
and
just have a baby and take a look at that bill. Yeah, I was like, whoa.
I think my C-section was like $20,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think a Band-Aid costs $10 in the United States.
I know Tylenol just to get it, or no, not Tylenol. I had gotten a ibuprofen, a Motrin.
It's like $75.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because they had to put on 5 pairs of gloves to open the bottle. Anyway, so this is when she starts getting suspicious. She's getting suspicious because she's getting so many of these explanation of benefits. Luckily, Dylan was really smart, and he left that treatment facility.
Oh, good. I was like, please
because what was happening is he was saying that they would have some group meetings. They were really disorganized. It was basically a facade. Like, look, we all got together.
Yeah.
They were probably all shooting up. Like, he said it was really bad. They were all really unhealthy. They were actively using in the halfway, just like you said. You just see it. It's nothing. It's just a place to come back and fall asleep on a dirty mattress on the floor.
Yep.
And he said that during these group meetings, they were constantly filled with these addiction advocates. And they would offer him and the other residents anything: gift cards, cash, trip to strip clubs. That's one thing I was like, what? Drugs, alcohol, basically anything they wanted to get them to leave the halfway house to go to their partnering treatment facility, to restart the insurance and billing. They would do this to the point where, like, they would leave this one treatment facility,
go to the
when
other,
you're done, and immediately be recommended to another facility. They're not done. They need to be recommended to this facility. Down to these headhunters at freaking Alcoholics Anonymous. They'd pay $200 per person, and they would go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And like, I wrote this, I'm like, in quotes. It's so rude. They told them specifically, like, the managers of local hotels to call them when it looked like a crackhead checked in.
Oh my gosh.
And these managers would do it. Oh my gosh. And because it's cash, there's no paper trail. The managers, there's nothing.
I'm sure they're just thinking that, like, they're helping.
Help.
You're just getting them help.
Yeah, sure. That's what we'd like to
horrible.
Think. But yeah, it's really sick. It's like so sick. It's like the other thing was bad enough because they were not alive. These people are alive.
Yeah.
Some of them are not anymore. And it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So, again, not even the police. He got busted by the IRS.
Oh my gosh.
Too much money. Do your taxes, people. Yeah. So, one of the things that would happen was that his informants would say that he would charge a full month, even if the patient was released on like the 1st or 2nd. They would get billed for the full month of treatment. And he also had shitty, dirty, corrupt counselors that would sign off on therapy sessions that didn't happen. So they would all get billed for them. Because again, part of their probation and stuff is you have to do mandatory counseling, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't make money off of them if they're in jail.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's so gross.
That's crazy.
So basically, nobody's hands were clean in this. Everybody knew. I'm sure that hotel manager knew. Yeah. It's so gross. So he was arrested in July of 2017. So it took a few years. It's crazy how long it takes. I get it. But, and he ended up being sentenced to 10 years, and he had to pay $24 million in restitution. Wow. To some of the past clients. Again, it's really sad because not everybody gets money. You have to come forward. Yeah. Your family, you have to have proof. You have to testify. And if you don't, so that it didn't say who it went through. So basically his 3 other conspirators who were also working for him, like, they all do the same thing. These like fake marketing companies, because they flipped on him, but they also they got a much more lenient sentence because of the fact that they were actively in drug use.
Oh,
so they were
just being manipulated and
for sure, and being paid in cash.
Yeah, to do the dirty work.
Yes,
kind of.
It's super gross. So I only have one more of this. It's just ridiculous. So when I looked this up, I was super surprised because the very first article I actually got was Dr. Ikukur Muhammad of the Inspire Malibu Clinic. Mm-hmm. He was being praised for and given like all these accolades. Everybody loved him because he was one of the first people that was given the certification to give the very first like ketamine treatments for depression. Yes, people, if you know what it is, that ketamine, like falling in a K-hole club drug. But this one is like an off of ketamine. It's called Spravato, and it's like called ketamine, and it's like a lesser, it's the same thing. But ketamine was originally a tranquilizer meant for chimpanzees and horses, so it's like for mammals. And so this one is, they try to say it's not the same, but it's the same. They tried to make it fancy and medical and not veterinarian medicine. So anyway, the problem is this drug, it works. It works for people. I've heard amazing things, just like with microdosing. That's what we're going to say on that. But if you're an active drug user, you can't be given ketamine.
No, you can't be given a drug to a drug. Yeah.
So this is what he ended up doing. He did the same exact thing that Eric Snyder did. He had this like faux marketing company that would recruit these patients to get these really expensive treatment, a brand new treatment, trial drug of these ketamine. And he would charge $70,000 to the insurance company for these shots.
That's crazy.
And he actually paid pretty well. Apparently he paid his body brokers like between $5,000 to $10,000 to be divided between the marketing company. So it's the exact same thing as Eric Snyder. These shitty rehab facilities. Oh, it's disgusting. It's so sad. So he ended up being arrested, and he was sentenced to only 15 months for medical fraud.
Wow.
And it's just the same thing. It's ridiculous. And like,
but they're getting away with murder.
Yeah. Because like, just because nobody's family came forward and is like, my son OD'd because you gave him these drugs, I guarantee the amount of blood on these people's hands is so disgusting. So just like how I was like, this, I don't want this to discourage anyone from getting treatment. Like, absolutely seek the treatment. Anyone who's listening, we love you. It's okay. Get treatment. It's fine. Everyone will forgive you if you can forgive yourself and get yourself help and self-care. Do not let it discourage you. But please, like, friends and family, look up these places. You have to see them in person. You cannot just go on good faith. And I know not everybody has the capability to like fly out of state, because they tend to take patients out of state because then you don't have the same
support system or the resources around you.
Exactly. And for places that are good, if they don't want the same people that are enabling you or persuading you. So it's a normal thing, but like ask for a Zoom meeting and a tour. You need a visualization of who works there. Say, I want to be introduced to at least the main members of staff. Like, you have to be vigilant. I know it's like a super stressful situation, but that's how these things happen.
A lot more stressful if it was this going on.
And check those insane explanations of benefits as well, because so many of us, I'm like, I know what this is. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna put it aside. Don't do that. Because that's how these assholes get away with stuff. It's so sick. It's such a vulnerable population. It's so sad. And because of the amount of people down here, like, I cannot even imagine how many of these places exist.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's
I know, like,
much. It's so sad.
Yeah, I know.
And that's only 3 out of, like, I kept seeing them, but it's also, again, just like the body brokering, it's all coming up right now. This is like actively a thing that they are really investigating, and they're going through more regulations where you can't just pop up a shitty halfway house anymore. So they're trying, but that people don't realize it takes like years.
I remember what happened to that house.
What happened?
It caught on fire because they were trying to
crackhead
use,
left a meth pipe
yeah,
out.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But they were using their oven as a heater or something like that, and something caught on fire. And so, yes, that's what it was.
They were
this was
blading
years ago.
drugs on the gas stove is probably what happened.
So,
oh gosh.
So yeah, I remember it caught on fire, but they were able to put it out. I wasn't here when it caught on fire. Like I lived here, but I think I was like at my mom's house or something. And so they had to like take everything out. But yeah, so then it was no longer a halfway house. But now it's like just been up for rent, and then
because my
couple times.
Yeah, my neighbor, before we moved in here, she was looking for like a house to rent too, and I was like, "Hey, girl, there's a place." And she let me know, she was like, "They're charging like $2,600
crazy
for that place." Like, we are so
small.
lucky for what our landlords charge us. Yeah, that one did have 2 bathrooms though.
Oh, that's right. Well,
Fucking
still
jerks,
not
but
that much.
not that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because these houses are small.
Yeah.
Wow, that was interesting. I have heard of some of that, but it, more so with the opioid crisis, where they were charging insurance and stuff for opiates when they were just fueling the drug crisis or the opiate crisis. So
yeah, and it's really really sad as well, because of course anybody can get addicted to anything. It's just really really sad, because now, because of this, and I'm not blaming addicts, I'm blaming doctors. Like the people who need those things can't get them now.
Yeah.
And like I don't necessarily need like Xanax, but we both have panic disorders.
Yeah.
And it is impossible you have to be having the most severe panic attacks every single day to get anything that you possibly could need. Like, and I've had these prescriptions in the past. I have zero history of abuse with that. But like the doctors, it's just so crazy, to the point where my my old psychiatrist's office actually had like a paper printed out that was like, none of the doctors prescribe benzodiazepams here.
Really?
Yeah. And pretty much to get those kinds of things, I'm surprised when general practitioner, anyone outside of your general physician, I just talk myself out of breath. They're usually the ones that will prescribe it now, because most psychiatrists and stuff are pretty hands off, because they're the ones that were getting in trouble.
Yeah. I have panic disorder, so I do have frequent panic attacks. And so I was able to get, it's not Xanax, it's Ativan, which is different. It's not like as addictive.
Is it
or
still
whatever.
a benzo?
I think so. It's in that. It's
the diazepam family.
I think it's in that family. And so Jack it was a new prescription, and Jack went to go pick it up, and he was like, man, they were like side-eyeing me and stuff. And he was like, it's for my wife. Like, I don't know what this is. She just got it, and she needs it. Yeah. And they, obviously they have to give it to him. It was prescribed for me, but he was like, man, what was this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. It's my just in case. And I'm so nervous. I have a panic attack about taking it for a panic attack, because it's just so scary. I know it's one of those, but I've only, what did I take that first time? I'm supposed to take like one.
I think, or something.
Supposed to take one, and I was like, oh, lick it. I'm so scared.
Salt lick. No, I totally get it. When I used to have a prescription of a diazepam, it was because Xanax is a brand name, so I was the same way, but doctors just don't want to believe you. I'm like, this is a 1 milligram tablet, and I would take a quarter. And they don't prescribe less than half. They don't prescribe less than 0.5. And I was like, I don't need that much.
Yeah,
but they don't believe you. They don't care.
I took a quarter, and it didn't do anything, and I still had a panic attack.
Because you need to take the whole thing.
I need to take it all, and I'm just scared. I still haven't. It's been over a year, and I still.
I get it.
That's how bad my panic attacks are. I have a panic attack about medication. I'm so scared about medication.
It sucks. I've had so many reactions.
Me too. That's what I'm currently dealing with.
I push it. I just deal with it.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
But yeah, if you're struggling, do get help, and just make sure that it's from legitimate.
It's worth it to yourself.
Yes.
Love yourself. Don't do it for anybody else, because then it's a lot harder to be successful for you. Nobody can do it for you but you. And I guarantee there is someone that loves you and wants you to get help and be happy and healthy, and so do we.
Yes, we do.
I just got the goosebumps for you. I'm such a baby.
Well, with that, stay crafty
and not crimey.
Bye.